So the Celtics pick up Anfernee Simons from the Portland Trail Blazers. Jrue Holiday heading over to Portland where he was already in the Dame trade. So that's pretty interesting. I kind of like this for both teams, to be honest. I think Portland really established a defensive identity last year. Jrue Holiday can be a good veteran for Scoot. Obviously, he's on the downswing of his career. Also, they can use him as trade bait because almost every single contender, if they have expiring contracts and they can match a Jrue Holiday, they'll certainly take him. Boston's definitely the more intriguing part of this deal, the thing I want to focus on. Simons, 26 years old. He's on an expiring contract, so it's going to be a prove-it year for him, but this is the prototypical player you want in the Missoula ball three-point system. He's also perfect in a year where you're not going to have Jayson Tatum because he's recovering for injury. He can carry an offensive load. And I think his time in Portland was just, ready to come to an end. It seemed like he wasn't really motivated last season because they have just been stuck in mediocrity or they'd been a bad tanking team. And I think that affected his play mentally because he was down in pretty much every single category. But one thing is clear, he can hit the three ball. I'll go over his statistics the last 3 years. 9 3-pointers a game in 2023, 37%. 8.8 3-pointers a game the next season, 8.5 the next year. And he's hovering around 36% to 39%. But it's really his off-the-dribble shooting that I'm sure Boston is in love with. Let's go back to the 2022-23 season where he had a career year all around. 3.9 pull-up jumpers attempted per game. That's 93rd percentile, and he made 1.5 of them per game, 91st percentile. He shot it at 37.7%. Step-back jumpers as well, 1.8 attempted per game. Once again, 94th percentile. 0.8 made per game, 94th percentile, and he shot 42.7% on step backs. He's a flamethrower as a shooter and arguably one of the best off-the-dribble shooters in the NBA. He can really take over a game shooting-wise when he gets hot, kind of like the Peyton Pritchard effect where Peyton comes in and he's just scorching hot from deep and he can really swing the momentum and he can carry the load offensively for a couple minutes. Now, obviously, Boston doesn't like to shoot many mid-range jumpers, but he's really solid in this area throughout his career. 47.1% in the most recent season from the mid-range. The year before that was a down year, 36.1% in the mid-range, but in his career year, once again, 2023, 46.4%. He really has developed into a self-creator, maybe a little too much, in my opinion. For example, 62.4% of his buckets were unassisted last season for Portland. And as a result of this added responsibility, he definitely has improved as a playmaker the last couple years. In that career year I have been mentioning, he averaged 5.5 assists to 2.7 turnovers per game. Pretty solid considering he's not a traditional point guard. He's more of a score-first point guard. The problem with him has been his defense. He's been pretty much a traffic cone on that end of the floor. But I will say throughout his Portland career, they haven't been built to be a great defense. And the last 2 years, you see it in the numbers. Portland, 122.2 defensive rating with him on the court, and then with him off, 115.3. And then this most recent season, 116.1 defensive rating with him on, and then him off, 113.6 defensive rating. But I want to go back to what I said earlier. The dude has not looked motivated compared to what he looked like early in his career. I just think his time has expired in Portland. He just seems worn down in terms of their direction. And also, they have been drafting nothing but, replacements. Scoot Henderson. Shaedon Sharpe is pretty much like the same idea. So mentally, he's probably like, oh, they don't really believe in me. They say they do, but I'm just kind of here until I get replaced. You know what I'm saying? And the reason I bring that up is because before the last 2 seasons, it's actually been the opposite. They've been either relatively the same defensively or a little better defensively with him on the floor. I think you'll see way more effort in a fresh new home in Boston on a winning team. By no means do I expect him to develop into an elite defender, but there's no reason why he can't become passable. He's definitely a player you have to surround him with defensive-minded pieces to get the most out of him defensively, because he's going to get picked on and he needs players around him to clean up his errors. But in my opinion, a lot of defense just comes down to effort and will. And it's way harder to play defense on a team that you know is going nowhere. And also, it was clear Portland did not really have a plan to sign him long-term, so it wasn't even like he was working for a new contract. That would be my sell in terms of hoping for better defensively in Boston. It's definitely going to be interesting to see who Boston starts, Peyton Pritchard or Simons. I was hoping to see Pritchard finally get the starting nod because he's been doing nothing but production when he has gotten increased minutes. I will say this to Boston fans, I think next year got a lot more exciting because, quite frankly, when he gets on a heater, he's one of the most entertaining watches in the league. That's all I got, though. I want to know your thoughts in the comment section below.